Go treat.
Need new tires in a hurry? At America's Tire Company, we move fast. Except when it comes to closing our doors. Slide in for a new set of Yokohamas at America's Tire Company.
Is Cindy Crawford's new movie going to bomb? Find out on Hard Copy.
Death, damage, and deluge in the Florida Panhandle in the aftermath of Opal, one of the most powerful hurricanes of the century. American forces get ready to head for dangerous duty in Bosnia as the backbone of a new U.S. brokered ceasefire and O.J. Simpson's phone-in attack on the prosecution team.
Throughout this case, it's been this misrepresentation time and time again.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Good evening. Hurricane Opal is just a memory and distant rain tonight, but all along the southern Gulf Coast of the United States, it is a very bad memory with reminders everywhere you look. This is how the Florida Panhandle looked from the air this morning after an overnight assault from one of the most powerful and dangerous storms in years. Its highest winds topped 150 miles an hour. The hurricane is blamed now for at least 11 deaths in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Damage in Florida alone is estimated in the billions of dollars, making Opal the third costliest hurricane in Florida's history, behind Andrew and Hugo. We began our coverage tonight with CBS News correspondent Scott Pelley reporting from Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Scott?
Dan, the residents of Florida's Panhandle are streaming home tonight, but many are returning to heartbreaking scenes of destruction. Before the water rose, Earl Robinson had a charter fleet.
I see this vessel sinking and my place of business blown away.
Now he has a salvage yard. What can you do?
Absolutely nothing. Endure.
Before the wind, Mary Francher had a home. Now she has a view.
I didn't lose that much because I lost material things, and that doesn't matter. The good Lord was just with us.
Many thank the Lord today, even if their world seemed upside down. From Pensacola to Panama City, refugees return to see what a 144-mile-an-hour wind can sweep away.
No electricity, ain't got no water. It might be 3 or 4 weeks. They've already condemned it.
2 million people are without power, no electricity for cooking, no juice to pump gas.
Move, take 2 and go.
Suddenly, little things count for a lot, like ice.
Everybody just be patient.
One word on the radio and the line stretches forever. Sun Ook Seifert kept her eye on the prize. 2 bags and a boy on the back. Nothing would stop her. It will be many days before the power is back, months before the region rebuilds. But already there is progress. And even after a harrowing night, it was a beautiful day to start over. This evening, the sheriff's office tells us that some people have been arrested for looting. One man was arrested for selling bags of ice at $8 a bag. But by and large, there's very little of that, and the Panhandle is getting back on its feet. Dan?
Now moving eastward along the Gulf Coast of Florida, CBS News correspondent Art Rascone checked out the hurricane damage in Panama City Beach. Art?
Dan, this is a heavy hit. Nearly $2 billion in damage to this region. And over the years, the cost to the tourism industry may be much more than that.
That's the whole shuffleboard court, whole picnic area, nice huge marble tables, everything.
Gone. Everything destroyed. A 40-room hotel once stood here. Now it's vacant beachfront property.
People are already calling and saying, you know, should we come down? And it's like, you know, there's nothing here to come down to.
Lenny Zacher isn't exaggerating. There is nothing to come down to. Every business, every home, every hotel along the coast has been damaged or destroyed.
The actual damage is devastating. It's all from one end of the beach to the other.
Rick Jackson is Panama City's manager, now running a city in ruins. Its lifeblood, tourism, now cut off.
Tourism means to this area of Bay County $600 up to $800 million a year.
That's a big hit.
Very big.
Hundreds of rental homes and condos have been swept out to sea. At the Tropical Breeze Resort, every room now has an ocean view.
It's a total loss right now. There's nothing left. It's all gone.
Ryan Raines has already been told he has been laid off. One of thousands along the coast now jobless.
This town's built on entertainment. I mean, everything here is entertainment.
Most of what's left here will have to be torn down. It's literally starting from the ground up for these business owners, and many say it may take up to 2 years before Panama City is back to what it used to be. Dan?
Art Rascon in Panama City Beach. It was just about 24 hours ago now that the eye of this powerful hurricane hit land with a ferocious roar and a great sea surge. We were on the scene at the time in Panama City Beach.
This is what it's like as a hurricane blows ashore. You grab onto anything you can to stay on your feet.
I got it.
One local gauge put the wind gusts at up to 144 miles an hour at the height of the storm. Water that should be 40 yards offshore is suddenly smashing through the hotels, condominiums, and across the street. As night falls, Panama City Beach is deserted and without power and taking a constant pounding. Lieutenant Mark Smith enforcing the curfew.
Not be out on the highway so you get arrested.
Surveying the town.
The wind is busting out of that house.
All along the beach, it looks like it's snowing.
It's sea foam. It's the actual foam that's coming off the waves.
And as the lieutenant surveys a beachfront motel,
We're going to have a whole section of motel rooms that are down underneath there.
the sea spray hits his eyes. It's a blinding spray that stings for hours.
Tonight, the remains of Opal are dumping heavy rain over much of the eastern United States. It was downgraded to a tropical depression today with maximum winds now of just 35 miles an hour. Still ahead, O.J. Simpson plays post-trial offense on the air against the press and the prosecution team. Also, a generation gap in the Philadelphia mob turns to bloodshed. And Pope John Paul in America, bringing his message for the world to the United Nations.
Ricola, natural herb cough drops. A pleasant-tasting blend of organically grown herbs and other natural ingredients from Switzerland.
As long as there are bedtimes and lullabies, as long as there are old friends and new stories, just as long as there are steady hands and mugs to keep them warm, you'll find Maxwell House decaffeinated coffees. As long as great taste is all you want, Maxwell House decaf will always be good to the last drop.
President Clinton today announced another step toward peace in Bosnia, a peace he has promised to enforce with, among others, American troops. U.S. diplomats won agreement from Bosnia, Serbia, and Croatia for a ceasefire starting next week and a peace conference later this month. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin reports.
They are still trying to kill each other in Bosnia and doing a pretty good job of it. But at least today held the promise of a U.S.-brokered ceasefire.
This is an important moment in the painful history of Bosnia. For today, the parties have agreed to put down their arms and roll up their sleeves and work for peace.
The ceasefire is supposed to begin in 5 days and be followed 2 weeks later by the start of a peace conference here in Washington. If and when a peace agreement is reached, President Clinton would send in U.S. troops to enforce it.
Some 20,000 U.S. combat troops would move into Bosnia within 30 days of a peace agreement as part of a much larger NATO force called I-4, or Implementation Force.
A force that no one else will mess with because it's the meanest, nastiest, toughest force in that nasty part of the world.
Led by a U.S. Army division, the I-4 would patrol a 10-kilometer-wide separation zone between the warring armies. It would stay long enough for the Bosnian army to be armed and trained with American help so it could hold its own against the better armed Serbs.
We have estimated it would take perhaps 9 to 12 months to
provide adequate training for the professionalization of the Bosnian armed forces.
And cost between $1 and $2 billion. It sounds more like a plan to create an armed standoff than a lasting peace. And to veterans of Bosnia, it sounds like a recipe for long-term U.S. military involvement.
You better start training your grandchildren to join the military and be peacekeepers in the Balkans. This thing isn't going to last from 9 to 12 months.
If it does last longer than that, Bill Clinton will have to explain why the troops aren't coming home just as the '96 presidential election is reaching its climax. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Pope John Paul warned against the dangers of Balkan-style nationalism in a speech to the United Nations today. It was his first address to the General Assembly since 1979. And the Pope took note of the changes since then, saying they have launched a worldwide movement for freedom. Randall Pinkston is covering the Pope's American tour.
The children who greeted Pope John Paul II at the United Nations presented him with the dove, symbolizing the theme of his mission here, to give flight to a new millennium of peace after centuries of wars and the creation of weapons of mass destruction.
It was wonderful, your singing for the peace.
His very presence at the UN brought excitement where protocol normally dictates reserve.
Welcome to this chamber.
After greeting the pontiff warmly, the diplomats listened quietly, almost reverently, to the Pope's appeal in 6 languages to the conscience of humanity to end excessive nationalism, the source, he said, of ethnic conflict. And he called for a culture of freedom based on trust.
On the threshold of a new millennium, we are witnessing an extraordinary global acceleration of that quest for freedom, which is one of the great dynamics of human history.
This afternoon, the search for spiritual truth moved to Giant Stadium, where thousands waited for hours in the rain for a glimpse of the successor to St. Peter. Pope John Paul is calling this his 4th visit to America, a pilgrimage for peace. For the thousands who wait anxiously to see him, it's also the experience of a lifetime. Dan?
Randall Pinkston at Giant Stadium in New Jersey. The Nobel Prize in Literature was awarded today to Irish poet Seamus Heaney. The Swedish Academy praised Heaney for poems of, quote, lyrical beauty and ethical depth on subjects ranging from farming and nature to politics and war in Northern Ireland. For the first time in 4 years, the number of Americans at or below the official U.S. government poverty line is down. The Census Bureau estimates more than 38 million Americans were living in poverty last year, about 1 million fewer than the year before. However, the huge gap between the richest and poorest Americans is still growing wider.
30 years ago, we promised to take care of each other.
We sure did.
And today, we're taking better care of our health with Ensure.
More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure is a delicious drink with all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Drink Ensure as a meal.
Or in between meals.
Ensure is recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete balanced nutrition.
Ensure to your health.
To our health.
Also try Ensure High Protein. It's low in saturated fat.
Where you been?
We want to eat.
Oh, I was over there talking to old Charlie.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Gentlemen, start your pitchers.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies in stereo.
Snap, crackle, and pop, plus that crisp toasted taste.
Now for the best part. Make them disappear.
What other cereal sounds so good?
Fibercon or Metamucil. Both give you the same predictable regularity, the same natural action of fiber. So what makes Fibercon different? With Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets. Fibercon, fiber regularity that's easier to take.
Managing a family's tough business. There are deadlines, cash flow issues.
Milk money. But moms don't get sick days.
So for coughs, they trust Robitussin. Now Mom can handle crucial management decisions.
Can we keep him?
Robitussin, recommended by Dr. Mom.
It seemed too good to be true. American high school kids accepted at England's Oxford University.
When I first got accepted to this school, I thought, yeah, I'm going to Oxford University.
Guess what? It was too good to be true, because here's where they ended up. Oxford Schmoxford. How did it happen? The story tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
2 days after the O.J. Simpson verdict, the trial and the jury's decision are still being pushed as hot topics on radio and television call-in shows. Now, Simpson has added his voice to the conversation to set the record straight as he sees it. Correspondent Bill Whitaker listened in to O.J. from Brentwood.
He declined to speak in his own defense during 9 months of his murder trial, but the day after being set free, O.J. Simpson spoke, not to probing prosecutors, but by phone to Larry King.
My basic anger is these misconceptions.
Like that shadowy figure limo driver Alan Park saw.
Marcia Clark said a person ran across the driveway. Marcia Clark has said that all along. That is not what Alan Park said. Alan Park said 15 feet roughly from my front door, which was me walking out of my front door, dropping my bags and going back in. And throughout this case, it's been this misrepresentation time and time again.
And he says he has more to say.
Pretty soon I'll have enough to say to everybody and hopefully answer everyone's questions. But
perhaps in a pay-per-view interview, netting him millions. Now that the jury has found him innocent, two of Simpson's now feuding attorneys are sending different signals. F. Lee Bailey accuses Robert Shapiro of trying to talk Simpson into a plea bargain for manslaughter, an admission of guilt. Shapiro denies it. Johnny Cochran urges everybody to move on.
We got to get it behind us. It's over.
It's over as well for the LAPD and prosecutors, who give little credence to Simpson's vow to seek the real killer.
We had a lot of people work this case. All the evidence pointed to one suspect. Barring some startling, revealing new information, that investigation's closed.
There was a lot of very strong circumstantial evidence which proved that Simpson was the killer of Ron and Nicole. And I'll go to my grave believing that.
Police have declared the horde of reporters outside Simpson's mansion a nuisance and have ordered them to leave. Yesterday, Simpson managed to elude the press to spend last night with his two youngest children. Simpson's in-laws, who retain custody, say they may have to fight Simpson if he tries to take the children out of the country. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The Attorney General of the United States, Janet Reno, said today she is against overhauling the jury system, as some critics are suggesting in the wake of the Simpson trial. Said Reno, and I quote, "We should tread very, very carefully before reforming a system that is one very basic element of government of the people," unquote. In Oakland, California, an out-of-control pickup truck plowed through a fence and into a playground full of young children attending preschool. One 18-month-old boy was killed and 10 others were injured, at least 3 of them listed in critical condition. Elsewhere in Northern California, hundreds of residents north of San Francisco are undergoing a trial by fire, wildfire. John Blackstone is in the thick of it.
The spread of the huge wildland fire overnight forced the evacuation of 400 homes. The fire has grown in less than a day from 2,000 to nearly 10,000 acres.
This is the leading edge of this fire. It's moving up the ridge, moving through this dry brush that's grown all summer in a dry summer in California. It's why these wildland fires spread so quickly.
Take a look at this. You want to see how hot the fire is? The aluminum block of the engine melted.
For the nearly 2,000 firefighters on the scene, the first priority is trying to protect the homes dotted through these forests.
We got inside, it was just going too hot inside to save anything.
48 houses have been destroyed so far, but Ron Balos was saved.
They saved a life's work and, you know, the heart and soul of our family.
This fire north of San Francisco is the biggest of about a dozen now burning California as the state begins its dangerous wildfire season. John Blackstone, CBS News, Inverness, California.
You got 6 minutes to shower, 4 minutes to dry your hair, 1 minute for contacts, 4 minutes to find them, 5 minutes to get dressed, 3 minutes to make yourself beautiful, and 90 seconds to make breakfast. That's plenty of time to dig into a bowl of great-tasting instant Quaker oatmeal. The same whole grain oats as regular Quaker oatmeal, just cut finer to cook faster. One taste of that maple and brown sugar, and you can handle anything. Like 10 minutes of screaming, 30 minutes of music, 20 minutes of painting. Quaker oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do.
American families have made their choice. Once again, they've chosen the Buick LeSabre as Family Circle magazine's Family Car of the Year. For reasons like safety, dependability, performance, and style, American families chose LeSabre as Family Car of the Year over every other sedan, foreign or domestic. Buick LeSabre, the American family car.
It's a great time to be silver because you're over 50 and you haven't lost your edge. Now there's a Centrum made just for you. Centrum Silver for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
I'm 62. Can I still help prevent osteoporosis?
It's never too late for Caltrate. Caltrate Plus has the extra calcium you need, plus 6 nutrients essential for healthy bones, whatever your age.
It's never too late for Caltrate.
Recently, Easy Spirit created a revolutionary new shoe. And with comfort like this, who could stop at just one? The Surprise Collection. The most comfortable Easy Spirit ever now has some company. The new Easy Spirit. Unusually comfortable.
He's coming to America.
I just want to meet him. This is like a dream come true.
I can't wait. And 48 hours is your ticket for a behind-the-scenes look at the Pope's historic visit tonight.
In Philadelphia today, what appears to be a gang rubout is the latest fallout from an organized crime trial. A court case featuring a mob assassin turned government informant and secret surveillance tapes with blood-curdling threats. Peter Van Sant has the Philadelphia story and the tapes.
Bullets through the door, blood on the seat. Assassins in South Philadelphia this morning shot and killed Billy Vesey, the brother of a mob hitman who was supposed to testify today in the trial of Philly's alleged mob boss, John Stanfa.
They knew where he was. They went up to the car, multiple shots fired, and they knew what their target was, and they hit it.
Vesey is the latest casualty in a Philadelphia mob war that is a throwback to Chicago of the 1930s. Since 1991, police say there have been 9 gangland hits, killing 5 mobsters. Today, a third Vesey brother promised more bloodshed.
One of my plans to find out who did it and kill them.
John Vesey was scheduled to take the stand this morning to finger his former boss and 7 of his associates. Vesey turned against John Stanfa after he was targeted for murder.
The case against John Stanfa includes 3 murders, murder conspiracy, kidnapping, extortion, and loan sharking. The most damning evidence comes from Stanfa's own words, secretly tape recorded by the FBI, including this chilling threat spoken in Italian.
Stanfa and cohort Sergio Battaglia were covertly videotaped entering a meeting where the FBI says they coolly discussed using acid to kill. Stanfa's attorney today denied his client had anything to do with this morning's murder. Whoever did the killing has failed to intimidate the star witness. Sources say John Vesey plans to testify. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Today was a day of reflection for U.S. military personnel on the now once again Japanese island of Okinawa. Reflection on the crime of rape. Normal training was suspended as the U.S. troops were lectured on the case of 3 American servicemen charged with raping a 12-year-old Japanese schoolgirl. The crime has sparked daily protests by Okinawans calling for all U.S. troops to get out of all Japan. The check's in the mail. President Clinton announced today that Mexico is repaying $700 million, the first installment on more than $12 billion Mexico borrowed from the U.S. to get through its recent monetary crisis. President Clinton has decided to allow U.S. news organizations to open bureaus now in Cuba as part of an effort to increase communication between Cubans and Americans. The last American news organization was expelled from Cuba in the late 1960s. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, more about the hurricane, damaged property, and shattered dreams.
For a touch of arthritis pain, my husband takes Advil. Doctors recommend Advil most for minor arthritis pain, and it's gentler on his stomach than aspirin. He says Advil lets him get back to doing what he loves. Nothing's been proven to last longer than Advil.
Please pass the all fruit.
Polaner all fruit is real fruit, sweetened only with fruit juice.
Would you please pass the jelly?
You'll call it delicious, you'll call it remarkable, but please don't dare call it jelly.
I exercise, it happens. I sneeze, it happens. Who wants to think about light bladder protection all the time? I don't. And now, I don't. Because Stay Free Serenity gives me extra dryness protection with new Extra Curve pads. Stay Free Serenity Extra Curve pads have Dry Layer Plus to keep them much drier than ordinary maxis. So I feel drier. Look, it's no big deal. Try new Curve pads Extra and Extra Plus, only from Stay Free Serenity. Drier than maxis.
When was the last time you played in the rain? Let your hair go wild. Flexed your muscles to the world. Stayed up past your bedtime. When was the last time you really had fun in a car? Riviera by Buick. Go ahead. Express yourself.
Mary Clary thinks her zipper bags are the best and will never switch to Gladlock zipper bags.
That's right, never.
But, Mary Clary, what do you say we lock you in this phone booth here with either your bag filled with angry bees or a Gladlock bag filled with angry bees? You see that green color change seal there, Mary? That shows you the Gladlock bag is closed. Your bag doesn't have a green seal.
You know, change is good. I'll take the Gladlock zipper bag.
Just kidding, Mary. When it really counts, only Gladlock has the yellow and blue make green seal.
The hurricane that hit the beautiful Florida Panhandle overnight destroyed more than 30 homes in tiny Mexico Beach. This is not a wealthy place, not to be confused with Palm Beach. This is a place where mostly rank-and-file working people and retirees live. Earlier today, I took a walk there with the mayor and a councilwoman as they surveyed the impact of the storm on property and people.
It's devastation in Mexico Beach, Florida.
I look around on both sides of the main street, and I don't see anything that didn't sustain some damage, and most of what I see sustained really heavy damage. That'd be your assessment?
Yes, sir. Bad thing about it is that we are a close-knit community, and all of these houses have names and people that you know. And
what happens to these people who own all this property on both sides of the road here that's so torn up?
These people probably will lose big. A lot of people put their life's savings into these homes, into these properties. Some of them are rental, some of them are private, and I believe they will all lose big.
Most people plan on retiring here. We're a family beach. I mean, this is an investment in people's future that's gone.
You were going to tell me what you thought when you first walked up here this morning and saw all this.
I started crying. I mean, I'm heartbroken. I hurt.
The hurt after the hurricane. Part of our world tonight. Later, on a live 48 hours, much more about Hurricane Opal's devastating impact and a rare behind-the-scenes look at the Pope's visit. Join us for Faith and Fury, the Hurricane and the Pope, tonight at 10, 9 Central Time. Dan Rather reporting from New York. I'll see you again soon on 48 Hours.